The poem The People by Keki and Daruwalla is about the general behavior of public leaders and the public whom they supposed to guide and on whose applause they thrive. It is a satirical poem describing the hypocrisy and crookedness of the people and also implying the hypocrisy and the crookedness of their leaders. The poet begins by saying that he finds no difference between the people's admiration for a leader and their mockery of a leader. Whether the people admire a leader or they jeer at a leader, their eyes show a certain brightness which is caused by their feeling of scorn or by their feeling of adoration, as the case might be. The people would either point to a leader as their hero to be worshipped, or they would point to him as the person who is to be insulted and humiliated. When a leader has delivered a speech which has pleased the people would disperse and keep repeating the words and the phrases which he had used in the course of his public lecture. Having failed to understand fully what he wanted to tell them, they misquote him, misinterpret him, and confuse the logic of his arguments with their own traditional and false notions. As one overhears them talking in this manner, one would think that their spirit of hero worship has taken a wrong direction or perhaps rightly been guided. Their attitude could even be one of disguised ill will towards him. While the people hardly pay any attention to the speaker during his speech, they kept whispering to one another about the sort of fellow he was. His words fell on the ground below instead of falling upon their ears. His words seemed as unimportant to them as the husk of the groundnuts which they had been eating during his discourse. They did not realize that the behavior of a mob was determined by the mood of the moment, and that the man whom they had on the previous day glorified as a hero had now become contemptible in their eyes. Similarly, they did not realize that the man whose words they have thought to be worthless today would impress them greatly that very night. Nor did they realize that the kind of slogans which they had been shouting had not really been understood by them. They had simply accepted the leader's oft repeated formula that what he had been telling them was for their own good. The people did not have enough intelligence to be able to discriminate between one statement by a leader and another statement by the same leader. They had treated all his statements with the same lack of comprehension. They had been accepting the pronouncements of the spiritual leaders as well as the secular leaders with the same degree of credulity. The spiritual leaders had spoken about destiny, the will of God, the climatic disaster such as hailstorms and complete want of rain. A couplet from Surdas quoted by a priest had served the purpose of lending sufficient authority to the view which the priest had expressed. At the end of the poem, the speaker says that he can hardly distinguish between his feeling of pity for the people and his feeling of contempt for the people. What he means is that the behavior of the people is so erratic that he does not know whether to pity them for their stupidity or to scorn them for their lack of understanding and judgment.